Hey everybody, today I'm making a video. Everybody, I'm late and stuff like this, they want a video to update. I don't have a whole lot of update, beside I received that, what we call a controller, and a month ago, but the software I need to run it through my computer was contaminated, so I could not really use it, and I tried and tried and tried, and it almost took my computer down, so I decided not to use that anymore. But that gave me a month of really understanding what this thing is. Actually, that's not really a computer, a speed control. It's actually a transmitter, and it's made by Blueway. That's a company which make Wi-Fi and Bluetooth communication, wireless communication. Now, we try to contact Blueway, and they're very tight-lipped about this. So, and it's not a prototype, it's something right off the shelf, because I'll show you here. I'm going to bring it closer so you can actually see. Okay. Now that gives you a pretty good picture and a serial number of the board, and a good view of the board. There we go. And 600 volt capacitor. So it's a high voltage triple channel transmitter. So they're getting into the right direction, because I've been saying, we have to transmit. We don't want to send voltage in there. I mean, not voltage, but amperage, because we know what amperage is. It's create heat, and you can burn the stuff. But from the beginning, I played when I was. I don't know if you remember when I was talking about on RC controller, right? When you turn it on, the motor's making that music, and everybody was bitching at me I was retarded and all that, and just the controller's making the music. It was not. It was the motor's making the music, and there's no speaker there. It's very simple. You can play. You can hook up your stereo to those wires, and as long as the flywheel is over and it's not touching anything, it's just as loud as a speaker, and clear, very, very clear. You can play music. It's been shown. I had a couple of kids. They showing that also when they saw my video a long time ago, and they did the experiment, and it works beautifully. Now, the principle of it is because you're not sending amperage in it, because obviously your stereo doesn't push amp out of the speaker output, because you would burn everything, right? So that's why everything have to run through a communication system, and this is a transmitter. Now the thing that I don't have it is the parts. I have all the parts to hook it up to my computer. I don't have the program to send, to get everything going. It didn't. The software didn't work, and for some reason they will not send me a software on a flash, a thumb drive, or an SD card, right? It would be so simple. I could throw it on my computer and run directly off the card. I don't have to really install it. But for some reason I can't have that. So apparently they're supposed to, working on the board to hook up to that, so I can have the board to do it. But at that point in time, I'm not holding my breath. I did that too many times. Now, I'm going to bring you back in time a little bit. Do you remember about 10 years ago, you were able to buy, it's called that, a heatless soldering gun. That means you can melt solder, and you can put your finger on the end of the little tip, and it's kind of room temperature. But as soon as you touch the soldering, it melts. This is called pure resonance. When you find the right level of resonance, you can melt everything. For example, an induction stove. does the same principle. What's coming out of the pad, it's not a sine wave, it's pure resonance. When I did the demonstration with the light bulb and the induction stove and a big coil of wire on the top of it, and I was getting out of 300 watt, I was getting like 1800 to 2100 watt of light. It was so bright without burning the bulb. Without burning the bulb on a 300 watt bulb. I was pushing up a level of 380 to 400 volt into that bulb coming out from that spool of wire, but I was not burning the bulb. And the bulb was so hot, I was melting the cement they use for gluing for holding the glass to that aluminum socket. I was burning that material, and that material is heat resistant. And I showed that to a lot of people, and they look at it because I get black inside the bulb, not on the outside the bulb, but the element looked like it's never been used. And I run this thing probably for about 2 to 3 days doing tests on it and bring it to temperature was beyond. The light was beyond everything. I had to put a shield around because it literally blind you. It's all about resonance, but people misunderstand resonance. Resonance is very simple. Now, I'm making this video because I'm kind of on my way to, I just need one more phone call and I'm out of here. I'm going to China for a couple of months. At least, you know, maybe more, who knows. But just before, I just want to explain people, it's Tesla, the mystery of Tesla is so simple. It's been on our face for a long time. He discovered how the sun worked and how this planet worked. And he did that by observing how things work around him. And he found out then the earth, from other scientists in his era before him, he was scientists before him, by doing the research and doing his own tests, he found out the earth have a resonance. And then they also find out we have a very high resonance coming up from the sun, from the atmosphere. We're living into a solar system. That means one sun, one star, right? Not a multiple, because it would be a chaos, but each solar system have their own system, their own transmission of energy. And it cannot be heat, because heat would dissipate, and our solar system is so bloody cold, you know, it's no heat there, because heat would dissipate in our I don't know if you can, our space, right, our solar system. So, and if you don't believe me, well, look it up in History Channel. The military, they're using the same principle. Look, they have crowd control system, which is a big panel on the top of a Hummer, right? A big flat panel, some the round, some the square, and it can adjust the resonance coming out of that panel to project it against a group of people. It can do many things. It can kill you if you crank enough, high enough. It will definitely kill you. And I can explain, some people, they build equipment and they know about resonance much, and they did kill people. I'll get to that later. If you get a certain energy, a volume of energy, of resonance coming at you, it will make your skin feel like it's on fire. What they're doing is they're going after the tissue, the fat content of the tissue, because it's a cell, it's a cellulose cell, and they're bombarding that cell with the exact perfect frequency to bring a fraction of a degree higher than what it is, and then suddenly your body feel, your whole skin feel is on fire. That's one channel. The second channel they have to use is, instead of going after the cellulose, it go after the cavity of your chest. That means instantly you're throwing up. What else does that? Oh, The scientists, EMF, the electronic people, EMF make you sick because it's into the level of getting in your cavity and making you sick at the stomach. Now you can have many setting, you know, you can make that thing from literally killing people, and if you have the generator to push enough into it, you can go to vaporize people. Okay, that's what's called the ray gun, right? That's what they call Tesla's ray gun. That's what they're using in Star Wars, you know, the Star Wars and stuff like this, which it was very well used in the 9/11 to bring those towers down. Still doesn't start burning just for the hell of it. And not only that, disappearing. If you don't believe me again, look at accident happened in the transmission line, because transmission line is resonance. That's why it's leaking, because resonance leak. I mean, it doesn't just want to stay there, it just leak, it expand, right? So that's why you can go underneath a power line and take that resonance and convert that into a volt, which is, mass, copper mass, iron mass, anything to do with mass. It will take this resonance and convert into volt, volumes of volt. Bigger the mass is, higher the volume of voltage. That means higher voltage you're going to get. And if you don't believe me, I did a test with my own vehicle under the power line. I had a Suburban, 1979 Suburban, with our steel made out of steel, and it was, you know, literally close to 5,000 pounds. I think over 5,000 pounds this damn thing was. And I was getting 768 volt out of my truck from testing it. Because I know one day my feet was wet and all that. I didn't have my rubber boots, and I went up on my rock, and I like finding rocks in the river, and I went up to get back and I touched the handle, and boom, I got a hell of a surprise. The line was energized. I was underneath the power line. And then I started doing some tests. I used to take my friend in the nighttime, and everybody had burned fluorescent and holding their hand, and you put the fluorescent, touch my bumper, the fluorescent, and you hold the fluorescent, and the fluorescent light up by itself without having the other end being connected. That's called resonance, because the gas and the fluorescent only runs on resonance, not on electricity. And if you break a fluorescent, look at the little tab in the end where the 2-pin goes in. There's a little tab, a little disc there. Let's call that a resonant disc. It creates resonance. Simple fact. You can all do that. You know, for all the idiots who don't like to badmouth and everybody who come up with the fact, just get off your fucking ass and find out about it. Now, power line, okay, they go all the way up to, I believe, all the way up to 2.5 million volt now. We're pushing in to go to California. And if, for some reason, that line is not connected to anything, it became a dead end. Now it will be a lot of pressure building up, because the pump in the other end keep on pumping the pressure. Now that pressure in the end of that wire will start building up so much, it will sound like a jet engine. And you can ask any lineman who work on energizing those lines and accident and happening in the line, they will tell you the same thing. And then suddenly that line start disappearing. It get to a maximum for the electron. The electron don't travel here. The electron create mass. So the line is made in 7 different materials. There's 7 different electrons making those wires separated, and they reach a volume and a pressure resonance so high they just disappear in smoke. Oh, look at that. So's the towers, the 9/11 towers. The steel, you could see 200-foot beams sticking out of the ground, and suddenly walk away on a cloud of smoke. How the hell still walk away in a cloud of smoke? Okay, look it up. I didn't make it up. Okay, just look at it. For all the stupid out there. So this is what Tesla discovered. Resonance. Two types of resonance. A low resonance and a high resonance. Positive, up, negative, the earth. Why you think an upright generator is more efficient than a horizontal generator? Because the generator do not make anything. It's just like a water pump. But what is pumping is resonance. So if you have resonance coming from our atmosphere and a resonance coming from the earth, that means you have to bring those two resonances together. And that's what, when you spin a shaft, any type of shaft, right? And I will come up to where we live in a two-dimensional world, not three. When you spin a shaft clockwise and you walk, you leave the shaft there and it's spinning clockwise, and you walk from the clockwise and you walk to go and take a look at the other end, suddenly the other end to you look is going counterclockwise. Why is that? At the center of where you're walking to that shaft, you just change your dimension. You walk to the second dimension or the other dimension, so you are in a negative dimension. It goes counterclockwise. People can argue that all day long, but if we were living in a world of three dimensions, tell me why every single living cell in this world multiplied by 2, not by 3. Okay? Again, now the shaft itself cannot suck in anything in beside creating to tell you two dimension, left and right. So, but the shaft itself, if you want to create something, is if you put a mass of iron, laminated steel iron, and you have a coil, left spin, and another coil, right spin, and you connect all those two coils together with no magnet. You just put a resistor and a capacitor into the connection between those two coils. That's a generator now. That all exists on there. So I'm not blowing smoke out of my ass here. Take it apart and look at it. When you have a brush-free generator and it's got no magnet in it, and they say it's slightly magnetism. Yes, because it was not induced before. You only got a residue of magnetism because when you first time spin it, you have to overspin. Now, G-force, electron, copper electron and iron electron in mass, when you create a certain G-force, that means expanding. When you're spinning something and expand, right? Magnetism show up naturally. They became two magnets, a north and a south. Now, by doing that, it's not, the generator just not, that's just a normal phenomenon, right? Now, by doing that, what's happening now, we're creating two vortex. Clockwise vortex in the end of a shaft, counterclockwise vortex in the other end of the shaft. And those vortex expand like funnel. Now, back to why a generator, upright generator, is more efficient than for the same amount of, same generator, the exact same generator. If you turn it like this, it won't be as efficient than if you keep it upright. The reason is, that funnel have to suck. It's just like a big vacuum. The resonance from the earth, and it create a bend. If the generator is horizontal, that vortex suddenly have to bend a 90 degrees. And then the other one have to bend another 90 degrees. And you know what happened? When you bend something, you lose efficiency. Right? It's just like bending a hose with water. If your hose is always straight, you get a better efficiency of moving the volume of water through a hose at a certain PSI than if you put a bend into it, or put two bend into it, put three bend into it. It make friction. It's not as efficient. So you guys following me that now? Hopefully. So that's why the generator doesn't make nothing. The generator was built to make, not to make, but to pump this resonance, and then to convert the resonance, because now you're putting the stator on the outside, the laminated steel with all the copper wire and stuff like this, and then you transfer, you compress and you transfer the resonance into the iron. And then suddenly the copper, that's their job, the copper wires, their job, you throw some resonance around the copper wire, guess what? It creates volts. Whatever size wire you have winding on your generator, it tells you how many amp or watts you're going to create out of that generator. It's the size of the wire and the length of the wire. It's all calculated. Okay? Follow me in that? So if we don't make energy, or energy cannot be made or destroyed, obviously it have to be manipulated, and that's what a generator does. So that's what with 3600 RPM, I find out at 2000 RPM a generator is activated. At 2200 RPM is producing about 80 volt, 78 volt, 80 volt. At 3600 RPM, because of the way it's a butterfly, only 2 coils on the rotor, is a butterfly with the calculation of all the your winding the way it does, it will give you your cycle, your hertz, 60 hertz, 3600 RPM, 60 hertz a second. It's all about numbers. It's all about, you know, and it's no math into that, it's arithmetics. Okay, simple as that. Everybody can do math and stuff like that, but math didn't exist before arithmetic, believe me. And then you can check that out if you don't believe me. And that's why Tesla is big secret. It's been in front of us for the longest time. And it was just a question of not be able to understand where the energy come from. Hey, when he says we're swimming in energy, we're living in a sea of energy. Yes, well, water cannot be destroyed or manufactured. You can never run out of water on this planet. You know, oh, they say, what about that place? It used to be a sea and now it's a desert. Well, if you were to take a good reading of the elevation of that continent, you would see the continent fucking rise up. Water is level around the world. It's all the same distance, the same height, everywhere in the world. The only place you have level, guess where it is? Not on the top of the sea, at the shore. That's the only level you have. Because for all the people think that the world is flat, right? They just don't want to do the practical test. It's very simple. Look at the lake. Take 1 kilometer, put a laser beam across, right? And just measure the distance from where the laser beam is at the shore and where the target is at the other shore. And then you start measuring the water till you reach between half a kilometer. Is a lot less than what it is at the shore on both ends. Interesting, isn't it? But that's how it works. Same thing with a bowl of water. If you have a bowl of water, nice and calm, try to put a straight edge and get both ends touching the water at the same time. It ain't happening. I mean, it's not a big gap, but it's still a gap. But people don't want to do those tests. So that's why they stay ignorant and argue everybody. I mean, we have to get rid of it, of the ignorance on this planet. The ignorance is stupidity. And you will have no room in this planet for ignorance. Because if you're ignorant, look of what we're living in the chaos we're living today because of ignorant people. They don't want to take the time to do the research. They want everything given in a silver platter to them to use. I call them users. Like the people who are sitting in the fence watching my video and bitching about I'm taking so long to get this happen. Those are users. I have no use for users. Period. Why should I have use for users? I have use for people who actually get up their ass and actually do something. You know, those people, I'll talk to them. There's so many people, they send me an email and says, they don't even say please, send me the schematic and the drawing for the generator. That's it. Click. I do delay on those one because I don't want to talk to those assholes. You know, I delay 80% of my email because, you know, it makes no sense what they're talking about. They want to learn about something, but I have to give them a working unit, so they're not going to learn. Do your research. I didn't do that to get rich, because believe me, you don't fucking get rich. I get over $300,000 plus my partner in Israel is probably over $100,000 US into it. And this is research. But what I did in the last 6 years is find out something nobody or civilian, fence sitters, pole sitters, call it whatever they want, will never that in their lifetime. Because look, no one so far can explain to me when you know, they all want to do about how Tesla, how to, but they don't know how to explain when they flick the switch on the wall at nighttime, the light comes up and what's going on and what type of energy you have in your house. You know, it's pretty scary when we're living in a world of stupid like this. You know, we have people, they're driving cars capable of 200 and some miles per hour, and those fuckers came and changed their flat tires. They don't even know what's underneath the hood. That's how stupid the fucking civilization is. You know, when you fly an airplane, you have to know everything about that airplane. An helicopter, same thing. You have to know everything. You have to be able to inspect your car, your truck, your plane, your helicopter. If it's anything wrong out of the ordinary, you should check and double check and triple check to make sure it's nothing's going to happen when you're using it. Same thing with a weapon. You know, when you're shooting a gun and you see a little puff of smoke coming out of the side of your chamber or down the middle of the barrel, you should pay attention to that little puff of smoke. That means you get a cracked barrel. Next time you might just blow your face off. Right? This is why I'm always in a bad mood, because the world is so fucked up of stupid. It's not even funny. You know, perfect example, what's going on across the border. I hope we have somebody who is not a politician who will run for election here in Canada, because this bullshit is going on here in Canada, and what's going on in the States with all that crap is going on there, and the immigration, there's no such thing as a border. You try to cross the fucking border in China or Russia or any other country and see what happened. I mean, we have like 12 to 1,500 immigrants walk across the border, U.S. border, into Canada. Literally almost every day. We have fucking Greyhound bus or school bus waiting at the border till the bus get full, and then they take it into the town. That's how fucking stupid. You know? I mean, I have nothing against gay people. I think, you know, I know a lot of them, and they're all nice people. They have their belief, I have my belief, and, you know, fine. But we have a fagaloo for a prime minister. You know, Justin Trudeau. This is the perfect, actually, I think if you look at the dictionary and look at the word fagaloo, his fucking face is there. Going dancing with the Middle East people, with the women, dressed up, you know, and it's just like a marionette. oh my God, it's just like, it makes my stomach curled up. You know, I mean, like, you know, it makes my stomach curl up to see this guy, the only job he ever had in his whole life was a substitute drama teacher. Substitute drama, that's the only job he ever had. He never ran a business of his life. And he's running a country. God, you guys are so lucky to have Trump right now. So lucky. The States. Hey, you know, if I was 30 years younger, I would walk the border and enlist over there. Because here, you know, all this bullshit, the socialists, it ain't working, believe me. It ain't working. We have more tent city around the Fraser Valley than you can shake a stick at it. You know? And people don't want to believe me, then come here. I will drive you through tent city all over, from the Fraser Valley all the way to Vancouver, and every single city. Like, we don't have enough people living in the street, we'll have to bring some more. You know, just give yourself a fucking shit. Like, you know, a shake. You know, people that come and talk to me and say, oh yeah, but all those people. Okay, I said, you can't leave them. I ask them a very simple question. How many of those poor people you have underneath your roof, and you supporting them, not getting paid by the government, you supporting them? My mom used to take people every winter for free and feed them, clean their clothes, because they had no money to have a roof over their head in the winter. We had a house, 15 in the house. But we had a farm, so we could actually put them in different places in the farm. And most of the people, sometimes, they didn't know what to do. They were down on their luck, they didn't know what to do. But when they didn't extend their hand to help people, and then you get all those fucking socialists that are whining and belly aching about people in another country, and they're too coward to have 2 or 3 and they're supporting them in their house. So that would make those fucking people the biggest fucking hypocrite in the world, innit? And believe me, there's a lot of them. A lot of fucking hypocrite out there. I always respect a border. At least try to respect the border. Or try to respect the law on the other side. Sometimes it's not always fair, but it's there. You can only argue it, not invade it. You know, as simple as that. But anyway, I'm making this video about this thing, and I get so pissed off watching what's going on, so that's what I have to give my peace of mind to a lot of people. So we know what Tesla's big mystery is resonance, and resonance is not a frequency. A resonance would, when you transmit something with an antenna, right? Do you think there's a sine waves coming out of the antenna? Now, if you think that, then you get shit for brain. Okay? Pure and simple. People would say, well, maybe you should use the word sawdust or oatmeal. No, no, no. No. Shit for brain. You'll never be anything in your life beside a loser. What come up on the end of an antenna is pressure. Resonance form pressure, and is encoded. That means it won't mix with the resonance out there, the natural resonance. It will be encoded. That means, like, it's almost like try to mix oil with water. It doesn't mix really well. It always separates, right? Or at least through oil. Now we have oil mixed with water because it they just demolish all the molecules and change this and change that. You can't call it oil anymore. But, right, I'm talking about real oil, vegetable oil. Just squeeze some olive and evaporize the water out of the juice, and you're going to end up with oil. And that doesn't mix with water. You always separate. So resonance is the same. It works the same ways. Because it's in a different pressure, it's a different viscosity, in another word, for people to understand. And it doesn't mix. So it could be, we can bring the level up, bring the pressure up, the voltage up, right? And that gives you channel on your radio, because your radio is just a translator of the resonance who is receiving from the antenna. It translates that code, and you hear people talking on the radio, or you hear music and stuff like this, or you see picture. This is a translation of zeros and one. And as many zero you put is a time zone. It's nothing. Zero means nothing. And then for as many as one you put is pressure of resonance. And the period timetable is whatever, how many one you got. It's called binary. Tesla discovered that. Right? Binary was not discovered by IBM. Tesla knew that a long time ago. He was the first guy having wireless remote control in the world. So he knew about transmission, believe me. That's why he said he was capable of transmitting energy around the world for people to use wireless. Now you get that with all the dummy out there? I'm not talking about the smart people here. I'm talking about the dummy. Do you get that? Wireless, right? But they could not figure a way how we're going to charge people, because we will know how many people will be tapping into the system, so we're going to be losing so much money because the greed was already there. And that's why it was not a very good idea. I mean, Tesla was really smart, but he made a lot of fuck up. I made a lot of fuck up, and he made a lot of fuck up, because you can't be perfect all the time and having all the answer. It doesn't work that way. Or if you have all the answer at everything and never be wrong, then you would be called Einstein, the fucker. He never fucking did anything in his life. He's worth 2 bits. Just lies and theft from other people. I just hope before I die, people would literally get it. And I think there's a few people out there, you know, some people we're talking back and forth, and those people have my phone number, and they phone me, and I answer the phone, and I talk sometimes for hours with those guys. Some they're young, some they're old, you know. I don't mind talking to people who actually want to learn something and they can see. Now, learning something is not exactly getting it. But after you talk for, you know, an hour with a person, and then you let them go, and about 4 or 5 days, sometimes he phone you back and he says, I tried this and you're right, it worked. Not working as, whoo, I get my house out of the system, but the effect I told him it was going to come out of it, that's exactly what came out. That's what science is. On-hand science is a whole lot better, by 99.9% better than science on a computer on a screen, because those screens, they're just cartoon. They can only give you a vision of something it might work. When you get might work, then you have to get off the computer and put something together so you can test it. Because might, don't cut, don't slice it. You got to test that to prove your cartoon is right. If you don't prove the cartoon is right, it's just a fucking cartoon. Nothing more, nothing less than a cartoon. Right? I used to watch Bugs Bunny and Roadrunner when I was a kid. And guess what? It was a cartoon. It was not real. funny as hell. Entertaining, yes, but still not real. But now people, they think cartoons are real. This is the civilization of stupid I'm talking about. Because it comes from a computer, it's got to be real. See, I'm not a big fan of Elon Musk because I think he went terribly wrong on what his technology was. And he probably gets side railed so many times by Mercedes, because everything in his car, including his electric motor, the Mercedes motor. See, Mercedes has been working with electric car for a very long time, okay? Before the car was invented. Because Mercedes and, what do you call it, the guy who invented, who was powering the town with DC power, right? They were like this, right? So that's why, you can't really trust anybody. I mean, same thing with the gas engine and the diesel engine. The gas and the diesel is just a primer. Your fuel is nitrogen in the air. Nitrogen. Nitrogen is a very fantastic gas because it's a resonant gas. And you can prime it by hitting it with a coated resonance instead of a goddamn carbon-based primer. And if you do your research, the first combustion engine was called a nitrogen engine. Then it got changed to a petrol engine. And then it got changed, that's just the wording, it got changed. And then it got changed to a gasoline engine. And then we have a gas engine. Only the word changed. The principle, they never change. Right? If a gas was so fucking explosive and so powerful, then pouring gas on the motor with a bucket would make the motor produce thousands of horse, innit? It doesn't. It floods it. If the mixture is not right, what else is a mixture was not be right? Something would happen. Oh, quick thinking. I did snowmobile when I was a kid, and I used to race, and I bust up a lot of my cabs. Fiberglass, the resin. What happened if the mixture of the hardener is not the right quantity? If it's not enough, I'm never going to harden it. Or it will take days to harden it, and it was still going to be tacky, right? It will be a soft thing, it's useless. If you put too much on the little bucket you're mixing to, by the time you finish mixing, you take your paintbrush dry, it'll set solid. It's overmix. That's what's called priming the chemical. And again, for not the smart people out there, don't feel offended, but the stupid out there, learn your chemical and you will find out. If you have enough intelligence to open a book and read, which is something people don't do very often. That's why I've been having such a problem of having a controller, because we're using controller, and company will build controller for RC, and RC, they're on the edge of what I'm talking about, but not quite, because they're using a lot of amp. But they're halfway there. Maybe after I'm dead, they'll be smart enough to go where I am and see, holy mackerel, we can just increase the volt and drop just about 95% of the amp right out of it, and our battery will last forever. You don't have to build a better battery. We got very good batteries. I mean, the secret is not in the batteries. The secret is how you manipulate the energy. I know in this video I'm mixing up my feeling about the world and my feeling about this, and But you know what? I gotta get it out of my chest because it's just, it's so frustrating to see people fighting what I'm doing so badly. You know, it's almost like the same thing Trump is getting. How can you fight logical common sense? Only stupid people does that. You know, it's just like try to push a boulder uphill, and I know how you feel because I've been doing it. He's only been doing it for, you know, 2 years. And he knows how tough it is. I've been doing it for 6 years now. Been laughed at, you know, called all kinds of names and the odd threats here and there, right? You get, how can I say it? You get to a time you don't feel, you feel numb to the world, you know, because you have to understand what I know about resonance and how it works and how can it be manipulated. It's a whole lot fucking easy destroying this planet in less than 24 hours than it is to make this motor run. Can you imagine that? It's easier to destroy this world with resonance than it is to make this thing work. Because you don't have, the biggest problem with this here is to control the energy coming out of it. When you want to destroy something, you don't want to control the energy. You want them to just release it and let it do its job. You don't have to control it. All you got to do is like open the cage of some really pissed off bear. Do you try to control that? No, you can't. You just let them do their job. You open the cage and get the hell out of the way, because they're going to tear everything is going to in front of them, right? That's easy. I just have to open the door, you know, and get out of the way. But if I open the door and I try to control those goddamn bear, I tell you, it's a little bit more difficult than jumping above the cage and running like hell out of the way. So that's why when Tesla was saying he can crack this planet in two, according to all the bullshit writing through the Tesla book, because 85% to 90% is total bullshit, because Tesla never wrote a book, never wrote a transcript of a book, you know, never did a schematic, never did a schematic. It was only sketches. So where all those schematic come from, Tesla, with their signature in the bottom, and all those patent, you see, you know, all those schematic from those patent with his signature in the bottom, ain't no from Tesla, because he never did one. Sketches. Sketches is a whole lot different. I can take a napkin, a paper towel, and make a sketch on it. I can call that a schematic. It's just sketches. Right? So that's what we have been doctrinated of the school system from first grade, because your kid is pretty smart. If you remove the TV and the phone and a young kid, till you get to first grade, or actually not first grade, till you get to when you send your kid preschool. Soon you send him to preschool, they sit him in a chair and they put this fucking vacuum over his head and suck the intelligence right out of it. He became programmed. That's what kid who live far away from energy, with no school and no phone and stuff like this, they're much more intelligent than any school coming from the big city. Because they didn't get corrupted at a very young age. They will get corrupted as soon as they get to the city, because everybody's got those toys and stuff like that they like to have too, so they will break down and get corrupted. A few might not, but most of them will, because it's too overwhelming. Light flashing everywhere, tall building, cars, music, girl walking around, you know, with miniskirt and high heels and, you know, and makeup and stuff like this. It's just like, wow, it's like a smorgasbord of ecstasy. When I say ecstasy, I mean drugs, right? It is a smorgasbord. So this is my last video to hopefully I will know by Saturday apparently all my living quarter, transportation, my translator, and my trip is already arranged or is being settled, and I'm just waiting for another phone call to tell me what date I'm going to be going to China. So hopefully, if I do, I figure about the first week of next month. Hey, till I see, like I said, till I see the ticket in my hand, it's just an if, right? So if I have any other information, I was supposed to get on yesterday. I was supposed to get Thursday, getting a video from the second company in China, but a controller pretty much similar to that, a little bit longer. It's got 2 capacitors on it. I still call it controller, but transmitter, right? And I didn't get it yet, so I don't know what's going on. So I'm tired of always contacting people. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? If we arrive here, then if I have something who's decent before I go, I will hook it up and show people. I'll make a quick video and send it up before I go, if I'm going. Like everything is an if in this world, you know. I'm surprised we have any tree left and pole left, because if a dog, you know, an if is like a dog. Instead of dick, he's got a saw, right? Everything leave his leg, you know, to piss on a tree, cut the tree down, or cut the pole down. The whole world live on if, and I'm surprised we still have trees and poles standing up in this world, because everything is a big if. So since the world worked, I have to use the word if. I only believe it if happen. So this is my update. This 6 inches is probably plenty for 10 to 15 to 25 kilowatt. 7-inch drum, nice and heavy, heavy steel, heavy stator. Don't have to do anything to the stator, matter of fact. You don't have to do any modification. That's a Yamaha, I think it's a 3700 watt inverter generator stator and drum. Don't connect anything to the plug which got 4 wire. Just ignore that. Just plug your legs, those 3 legs, directly to those 3 wire. That's your stator wire, and it will turn. Pretty straightforward. And you can order that online directly from eBay, brand new in a box from Yamaha. And I think they're like $300 some, $380. So people don't want to wind their stuff. They just want to. Then you can take that to a machinist. I have a machinist here who's working and to get everything when I'm working to make a kit, right? Soon we got the thing working properly. I will put his address and his website address on my website, so people can order directly from him. I don't need to be a middleman. See, I'm not there to be a millionaire here. I'm just trying to get this shit out there for people to use. You know, because, you know, I'm making a little bit of money to get my money back on those. That's about it. If I can get it working properly, or if I can find people who understand. And now I know I have to go and see a company who actually develop communication system, not controllers, because people who build controls don't understand really what I'm talking about. So that was another step going forward, is understanding who should I talk to, because anybody who work on controller do not understand a damn word what I'm saying about. because they never work with it. They work with the other stuff, pushing in, pushing in. Same thing with the American Navy. They're working on a railgun. I don't know how many megawatt of power they use to shoot something at 160 miles. You don't need how many megawatts, right? You need a lot of volts and you need 20 amp. Now, I can remove probably about 600 to maybe, I would say, oh gosh, 600 tons to maybe, you know, 1,000,000 tons out of your ship by removing all those generators. It's not the amp who will throw that slug out. It's the volt. It's the resonance. How the resonance is being displayed in your cannon. How it's machine, how everything fit perfectly. You don't need a whole lot of amp to do that. You need a lot of volts and a lot of resonance. So, but anyway, we'll let them play with that. Right now, they need 2 ships, one after another. One to carry the generator to power up the cannon for the other ship to hold it. So it's just kind of ridiculous. But anyway, like I said, you know, a lot of people have idea and then they keep staggering into that puddle of lies and deception, and they try to make something out of that, and it's very difficult for them to do. But anyway, here I am, and hopefully you'll be able to figure out what I'm doing, and hopefully figure out how that thing works for the people who like to do the test on it, and they will find out. So, but remember, resonance is not a sine wave. It's a coded message. Not a sine wave. Coded message. Zeros and ones. So, think about it for a minute. Alright guys, till next time, you know, I will, if I travel, I will make sure I will be contacting people 3 times a week and let them know here I'm still breathing. And if your communication stop after a while, then either I'm in jail somewhere or I'm dead. Simple as that. So on that note, you guys have a good day, and hopefully some people will enjoy this video, and we'll be able to use this technology for making the world a little bit better place to live without having so many bullshit rules and stuff like this to just crush society down and keep it dumb as possible. So there you go. That's my piece. You have a good day, and hopefully lightning won't kill you.